Quick tip for anybody wanting to change the driver's side engine mount on a 10th generation F150. This is a 5.4 engine. You can see the 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3, that hold that on. I've got a socket on that one on the bottom left. Impossible to get to. I was really looking at this as a dilemma until I realized if I took that oil filter off, I can reach this that bottom nut, actually both of these, but the bottom one is the problem, from the front of the vehicle. I have a clear access to reach in there. So for those of you having problems getting or thinking about getting this done, that's one of the solutions. Also, I took the oil dipstick out, and that gave us some clearance because it runs right across the motor mount right there. Engine mount's removed. The actual rubber is not collapsed, but it's a little softer, and you can see it's brittle compared to the new engine mount, which is of course in excellent condition. So although it looked like it wasn't maybe necessary to remove, I think after 18 years it's time for it to be replaced. What's also critical to pay attention to are these tabs. These tabs actually are metal, and they locate the mount on the receiving end on the frame. Because the old mount is compressed, there's less clearance issue getting this thing out than putting the new one in. To take this out, you have to jack up the engine, and to do that, I had to pull the EGR valve and loosen the transmission crossmember bolts. In order to jack the engine up enough to get the left side motor mount out, I had to remove the EGR, which was hitting the firewall. I have absolutely zero clearance left there. And I also had to loosen the transmission mounting bolts at the cross member to give me enough clearance to let the whole assembly move up. Barely had enough room to pull that engine mount out. The new motor mount is in, but there's a little bit of a process to put this in. I had to jack that motor up as far as I possibly could, and then slide that motor mount in because the clearance is not as great. Then slightly lower the motor until I could seat that motor mount into its pocket there. The reason is that you can't put that motor mount all the way down into that receiving end on the frame until the motor is reduced in height a little bit, because that provides clearance from the block. The block is actually pushing that motor mount out in its orientation as it's jacked up. Once you get it down, that thing for me just slid right into place. I put this the bolt that you can see at the bottom partially installed across, and now I'm ready to install the block bolts to finish the installation of this. So it took a little bit of manipulation. It's not an easy process like it's been on some of my other vehicles. But if you do want to do a driver's side, this is what you got to do. I'm actually in the process of putting in new exhaust manifold gaskets, and so I had additional clearance for this as a result of removing that manifold, which made me decide to go ahead and replace this motor mount.